Hello everyone, and welcome to another story time where the ending, as always, absolutely ruins everything. Today, we have a real gem for you. A tale that starts with sunshine and rainbows and ends somewhere in the vicinity of a dumpster fire in an existential void. So, grab your popcorn, or perhaps a stiff drink, because you are going to need it. Our story begins with a man named Arthur Pumble. Arthur was, for all intents and purposes, the human equivalent of lukewarm oat. He worked a beige job in a beige office, drove a beige car, and lived in a beige house with a beige cat named, you guessed it, Beige. His life was a monument to mediocrity, a perfectly curated exhibition of the utterly unremarkable. He did not have grand dreams or crippling anxieties. He simply existed, floating through life on a placid river of routine. One Tuesday morning, which was indistinguishable from any other Tuesday morning, Arthur found a lottery ticket on the sidewalk. It was just lying there, a splash of garish color against the drab gray pavement. Arthur, who had never bought a lottery ticket in his life because it seemed like an unnecessary emotional investment, picked it up. He figured, why not? The drawing was at night. What was the worst that could happen? He might win. He might not. The earth would continue its pointless pirouettes around the sun either way. A went to work, filed some papers that would eventually be filed away somewhere else, attended a meeting about the upcoming meeting, and went home. F at Behe ate his customary tuna sandwich and turned on the television just as the lottery numbers were being announced. He glanced at the ticket, then at the screen. The first number matched. He blinked. The second number matched. A strange sensation, something vaguely like excitement, bubbled in his chest. The third, fourth, and fifth numbers all matched. The announcer, a woman with unnaturally white teeth, called out the final power number. It matched. Arthur Pumble, the man who personified the color beige, had just won $300 million. He stared at the ticket, then at the television. He checked the numbers again and again. There was no mistake. He was officially, ridiculously wealthy. For a moment, the world seemed to tilt on its axis. Color flooded his beige existence, but then a familiar feeling washed over him. Indifference. It was just money, after all. A lot of it, sure, but still just paper. He shrugged, put the ticket in his pocket, and went to bed. The next day, Arthur claimed his prize. The lottery officials were baffled by his complete lack of enthusiasm. They handed him a giant check. A photographer snapped his picture, and Arthur just stood there with a faint, polite smile of a man who has been asked to hold a stranger's baby. News crews swarmed him, asking what he would do with the money. Arthur, ever the conversationalist, simply said, "I do not know yet. Maybe I will buy a new can opener." And so began Arthur's new life. He quit his job, not with a triumphant declaration, but with a quiet, polite resignation letter. His boss, a man named Mr. Abernathy, was flabbergasted. "But you love filing, Arthur. You are the best filer we have ever had." Arthur just nodded and walked away. With endless time and limitless funds, the world was his oyster. But Arthur did not like oysters. They were slimy and tasted of the sea's melancholic tears. His friends, all two of them from the office, suggested he travel. See the world, they said. So Arthur booked a trip. First class, of course. He went to Paris and saw the Eiffel Tower. "It is tall," he noted. He went to Egypt and gazed upon the pyramids. "They are pointy," he observed. He journeyed to the Great Wall of China. "It is long," he concluded. Everywhere he went, he felt nothing. The wonders of the world were just oversized postcards to him. He tried buying things. He bought a mansion, but it was too big and echoed. He hired a staff, but they just kept asking him what he wanted, a question he had no answer for. He bought a fleet of exotic sports cars, but found them uncomfortable and too loud. He preferred his old beige sedan. It had good lumbar support. He bought a yacht and named it the Apathy. He took it out once, got seasick, and sold it a week later. He tried philanthropy. He donated millions to charities for starving children, endangered animals, and incurable diseases. He received tearful letters of thanks and plaques with his name on them. He attended galas in his honor. where people applauded his generosity. Arthur just sat there, sipping his water, feeling like an imposter. He was not generous. He was just bored. He was throwing money at problems the way a child throws rocks into a pond, just to see the splash. Desperate for some flicker of feeling, any feeling, he started looking for more extreme experiences. He went skydiving. The fall was windy. He swam with sharks. They mostly ignored him. He climbed Mount Everest with a team of Sherpas who did all the hard work. The view from the top was cold. Nothing worked. The enormous fortune had only served to amplify his own emptiness. It was a giant magnifying glass held over the void in his soul. He was a king, sitting on a throne of nothing, ruling over an empire of indifference. One day, sitting in his cavernous, empty mansion, Arthur had a thought. It was not a profound thought, not an epiphany. Just a simply logical conclusion. This money, this curse, was the problem. It had stripped away the one thing that gave his life structure. The mundane routine. He had to get rid of it, all of it. So he began a new project. He started by giving it away on the street. He would walk through the city with suitcases full of cash, handing out $100 bills to anyone who passed. At first, people were ecstatic. They cheered. They cried. They hugged him. But soon, the crowds grew larger, more demanding. Fights broke out. The joy turned to greed. The gratitude to entitlement. The city descended into a chaotic frenzy, all centered around him. He had not created happiness. He had just created a new kind of misery. He tried a more organized approach. He created a foundation dedicated to solving one single, absurdly simple problem. He decided to provide a lifetime supply of perfectly sharpened pencils to every person on Earth. It was a logistical nightmare. He hired thousands of people, built factories, established global distribution networks. The world's graphite and wood markets went into a tailspin. Pundits and economists debated the Great Pencil Initiative on cable news. It was the most pointless, expensive, and bafflingly successful project in human history. Every man, woman, and child on the planet now had more pencils than they could ever possibly use, and Arthur still felt nothing. Finally, he had one last idea, the most ridiculous, most cynical idea of all. He gathered the last of his fortune, a few $1 billion, and converted it all into $1 bills. He hired a fleet of cargo planes. On a coordinated, globally broadcast date, he had the planes fly over every major city in the world and dump the cash. A rain of money. The ultimate act of absurd, meaningless spectacle. He watched the event on a massive screen in his now empty mansion. He saw the chaos, the pure, unadulterated pandemonium. People trampling each other for a single dollar bill. The global economy imploding in a matter of hours. Governments declaring state of emergency. The end of civilization as we know it, triggered by a blizzard of paper rectangles. It was a masterpiece of destruction, a symphony of societal collapse. And as Arthur Pumbold watched the world burn, watched humanity tear itself apart over the very thing he found so meaningless, he felt something. It was a tiny flicker. Deep inside, it grew, warming him from the inside out. He stood up, a strange new energy coursing through him. He walked over to a mirror and looked at his reflection. And for the first time in his entire life, Arthur Pumbold smiled. A genuine, heartfelt, truly happy smile. He was finally feeling something. Filtamo said. And there you have it. The man who could only find happiness in the complete and utter collapse of global civilization. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Does it not? Well, if you enjoyed this cheerful little tale of existential dread and financial ruin, you know what to do. Ruin that algorithm for me. Go ahead and share, like and subscribe for more stories where the ending ruins absolutely everything. Thanks for watching.